There are some spicy new marathon leaks that include its pricing details and some of the launch weapons. Will this be enough to save this game? We're going to jump into it all. This article comes to us from the Game Post. It reads, New leak reveals Marathon's pricing details, deluxe edition, season pass, pre-order bonuses, and launch weapons. New leaked details on Bungie's Marathon include pricing, editions, season pass, and how many weapons to expect at launch. So now that we've had the, big art theft controversy and a lot of people gave a ton of backlash in regards to Marathon, what has Bungie done to kind of fix the game, right? We do know that they are launching a kind of, I think it's a closed alpha. Let's see what we got here. Bungie has been quiet about Marathon for months, but that changed this week. Yesterday, the studio confirmed it's opening signups for an NDA closed technical test. This will be starting on October 22nd, so at the time of recording this video, about 2 weeks from now, allowing players in North America and Europe to go hands-on with early gameplay ahead of launch. Very interesting. Will you be signing up for this? If you've been following this project for a while, you might remember that last year, the Game Post exclusively reported that Marathon was targeting a $40 price tag, something that was later corroborated by other reputable sources. After the gameplay reveal showcase earlier this year, Bungie officially confirmed that Marathon would not be a full-priced release, which I think is a good thing and a bad thing. Depends on how you want to look at it. So the first thing is that if it's not a full-priced game, then that kind of shows maybe a lack of confidence. Alternatively, it could indicate that maybe Bungie wants to give people a good deal on it so that way they can basically compete. I'm of the opinion when it comes to business, though, that you don't want to create a product that tries to undersell your opposition, right? Your competition. Because if you try to undersell your competition, what you're creating is a race to the bottom. Like who can make the absolute cheapest game, who can make and frankly, the shittiest game, if we're being honest. If you're just trying to undercut your opponents and undercut your competition, you're just racing faster and faster to how can we cut corners? How can we make everything as cheap as possible? And a race to the bottom is not a good idea for the launch of a new video game. People aren't especially interested in buying a super cheap game. People are interested in buying a really nice, well-polished product. People want to buy a game that is going to give them an experience that they've never had before. People want to buy a game that's going to wow them and they're going to be interested in it. So I think the idea of underselling the competition is a bad one. I think that it sends a negative message more than it does send a positive message. And so when I first heard that they were going to release it at a $40 price tag, I was like very skeptical. And it's also the same price tag as Concord, which I mean, it doesn't really matter necessarily, but it's like, we're leaning into the narrative of it being Concord too, right? So this means that players wouldn't be shelling out the usual $60 or $70 for the game. And some of these games are even getting more and more expensive these days as certain companies are charging more. People have even reportedly said that GTA 6 might even be $100. Now, a well-known leak and data mine account has just shared additional pricing and content details, including what's in the base and deluxe editions, the season pass, and even the full weapon count expected at launch. Oof, here we go. Leaked marathon pricing, editions, and season pass details. New info comes from Colony Deeks, an account on X, formerly Twitter, that shared accurate marathon details before, some of which we've independently confirmed. According to the leak, Marathon will launch at a base price of around $40 with a deluxe edition price closer to $60. The deluxe bundle reportedly includes about $30 worth of season pass tokens, though it's still unclear what these tokens will actually do in game. Interesting. Wonder what this currency will be. If this is just like microtransaction currency, we'll have to see. They're going to stick with the $40 price tag, which I think that, like I said, I'm not a fan of the $40 price tag. You could argue that, obviously making Marathon a full $60 or $70 would be even worse. And I would agree with you based on the quality of the product. So it's important that even though you're not trying to undersell or race to the bottom against your competition, right, by making your product as cheap as possible, you also don't want to misappropriately price your product. You don't want to say that Marathon is like this super deluxe premium game and deserves like the heftiest price tag because we've already seen the gameplay. The world has already weighed in its opinions of this game, and it hasn't been especially good. So accordingly, you could adjust your price though, and instead of doing the $40 price tag, I think that given what we've seen from Marathon so far, and even from what it seems like they've added to Marathon, it would be a wise business decision to potentially make it free to play and let people jump in. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, didn't you say you don't want to undersell the competition? If all the other extraction shooter games charge more than $40, then going free to play is like very much underselling them. Well, you should hope that given all of the backlash that people will actually give the game a chance if it is free to play, because at the price point of $40 right now, and given all of the backlash and the negativity and kind of just the cloud that looms over this game, I think that a lot of people won't even fork out the $40 to begin with. But if there is a lot of fun to be had in this game, and Bungie has actually worked really hard on it, and there's a lot of cool secrets and puzzles, and the game actually ends up being kind of fun, people will give it a chance, right? We've seen this before with other games where games can sometimes be good, but people are just burnt out on them or not interested in even trying them in the first place. Recently, I'll give you a good example to Destiny 2. We just had a raid launch, and the raid was honestly not that bad. I actually liked the Epic Raid a ton. But you can see that after the Epic Raid came out, we've seen some of the lowest population numbers. People are not interested. They don't care about jumping in and playing the Epic Raid. We literally saw the lowest population we've ever seen, less than 8,000 at the low point, right? That's brutal. It's crazy that Bungie actually put a lot of work into this Epic Raid. There's a whole new encounter there. The mechanics changed from each encounter leading up to it, a new world's first race, a belt to go along with it. And even though they did all this work, no one really cared, right? It's the same thing can happen with Marathon, right? They could have actually put in a decent amount of work to have some really fun experiences, some fun puzzles in the game, but at that $40 price point, no one's going to care enough to give it a try. I really think that given the current position that they have, the smartest strategy would be free to play. And they might not like that because that it's going to involve a lot more cheaters coming into the game, and we know that Bungie's history with anti-cheat has been turbulent to say the least. They really don't know how to get rid of cheaters, and the cheating epidemic in gaming has gotten more and more powerful in recent years. And so if they did make it free to play, there'd be a lot of cheaters in Marathon, that's for sure, but there would also be a lot of people actually giving the game a chance. And maybe, just maybe, if they did give the game a chance, there would be fun to have, and maybe they buy some of the microtransactions, etc. Because I don't think with the $40 price point it's going to happen. The deluxe bundle reportedly includes about $30 worth of season pass tokens. The Marathon season pass itself is expected to cost around $10 and will be cosmetic only. These new details line up with what we heard recently, that Bungie is still aiming for a $40 launch price. Gotcha. The leak also mentions pre-order bonuses for both Marathon and Destiny 2. For Destiny 2 players, will reportedly get a themed shipped Ghost and Sparrow. Interestingly, a Marathon-inspired Sparrow was actually found in the Destiny 2 game files earlier this year. Check it out below. So inside the Destiny 2 game files exists a Marathon Sparrow. Interesting. For Marathon players, the pre-order pack supposedly includes a pink pistol skin, charm emblem, profile background, and decal. So how many weapons are in Marathon? This is a great question. In a follow-up post, the leak account also mentions that Marathon is expected to launch with 28 weapons broken down into various categories. Okay. We got 4 auto rifles, 3 LMGs, 6 precision rifles, 3 pistols, 2 railguns, 3 shotguns, 3 snipers, 4 SMGs, and obviously all of these things will have a lot of customizability, I imagine, to the different, you can put attachments onto them and things like that, right? At this time, we're unable to verify the weapon details. As always, it's best to take this information with a grain of salt since Bungie hasn't officially confirmed any of the pricing or content yet. That said, Colony Deeks has a solid track record with several past Marathon leaks, especially around test builds proving accurate. Marathon said it plans to provide a more public development update in the months following this month's closed alpha technical test. What do you think of these pricing details and the weapon lineup? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I think that you got to go free to play. Genuinely, free to play is the only way. Given all of the backlash, I don't think that enough people are going to give this game a try. It's not necessarily fair. I mean, maybe all publicity is good publicity. Maybe the art scandal gets Marathon in people's minds and they decide to give it a chance. But in this day and age, what we've found with gaming is that people don't want to waste their money, right, on a game that they actually don't want to play. So they'll just watch the game. We can watch the gameplay, the alpha, the beta. We can watch people play it on day one. And after people watch other people play it or watch videos of it or raw gameplay, whatever it is, they then make their decision, you know? And so far, the decision hasn't been good. If it launched and had way more success and way more interest, maybe, but it really doesn't seem like it's leaning that way too much. Like Bungie is adding to it. Like I said before, it's like putting a bow on a turd at this point, and it's not really helping the situation as much as I wish it would. I really do wish that this game was a big success. It would be fun to cover the news on this game. It would be fun to talk about its development, but I really feel like this is a burning ship, so to speak, right? It's not good. It's not good. I don't know what Bungie could do to fix it. Like I said, if I had the ideas that Bungie needed, I think we would all already be saying them, and they would be in a position where they would be. So what you don't ever want to find yourself in a situation where there's no solution, right? There's no fix. So they kind of created this game that's an extraction shooter, but it's very, very casual, very easy to get into, very frictionless, as they call it, right? And it's a decent idea, but it kind of negates the whole point of extraction shooters. They're meant to be much more hardcore. That's their whole that's the whole like brand of it. So basically to take an extraction shooter and water it down feels like you're going to create a whole new audience, but is there an audience for that, you know? Basically the audience you would be looking for is people that played extraction shooters and thought they were too hardcore. So maybe they want to play a more watered down one. Then maybe they left extraction shooters and they want a more chilled experience. Possibly. That's a possibility. Alternatively, just a whole new audience, considering it's kind of its own niche subgenre within a genre, right? You've got like extraction shooters up here, and then you have like marathon as its own category. And it's not necessarily a bad idea to try to create a whole new category. I think you'll find more success in something like that, especially because the big players in this space, like Escape from Tarkov, are very well established. So going up head to head against them is going to prove to be very difficult unless you have like a massive developmental team and a lot of money for marketing and a really good strategic plan. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Bungie has all of that locked in, but maybe. You never know, right? You never know. Bungie has wowed us and surprised us in the past. We obviously had Halo be super successful, and off the success of Halo, they developed Destiny 1, which was incredibly successful. How much money did Destiny 1 make? I just saw a recent stat. Destiny 1 sold in more than $500 million worth of copies to retailers and first parties worldwide on its launch day. Wow. Think about that. $500 million, right? They took all the success of Halo and they transferred it very well into Destiny 1. Oh gosh. Destiny 2 did not release any publicly shared launch revenue figures, but Destiny, the first game, shipped for 500. They said, listen, look, we'll share the numbers of Destiny 1 because it was impressive. But Destiny 2, we're not talking about that, okay? We're not going to talk about the fall off. Destiny 2 probably didn't do anywhere near that, right? This was also like, when you think about the timeline, gaming and new games and competition in the gaming sphere has gotten so much more competitive. There's so much more like bigger players out there, people with like billions of dollars of influence and crazy dev teams, and basically just have like infinite money. Like EA was just recently bought for $55 billion. Think about that. Someone just said, you know what? I'm just going to buy EA. And they just dropped $55 billion, you know? Like there's some big heavy hitters in the gaming space, right? Some huge heavy hitters in the gaming space. It's the very competitive market is what the point is of that. So they've had success with Halo. They had a lot of success with Destiny 1. Destiny 2, it's had mixed results, right? Destiny 2 has had some really good highs and some really low lows. 38 million copies of Destiny 2 are sold. There's microtransactions. The exact figures are not publicly available. It sold over 18.7 million units as of late 2017. So yeah, Destiny 2, it's had mixed results, right? There's been its launch was successful initially, and then it quickly fell off. Destiny 2 Year 1 proved to be almost the death of Bungie, right? And then they brought it back with Forsaken, and then they kind of copy and pasted the seasonal model too much for too long. People got burnt out on it. Then they tried the episode model. It had some success. It had some failures. And now we're in Edge of Fate, and Edge of Fate is flopping hard, right? So now, is Bungie's next move going to be Halo size with Marathon? Is it going to be Destiny 1 sized? Or is it going to be Edge of Fate sized, right? Is it going to be D2 Year 1 size, right? Bungie's had successes and Bungie's had failures. Usually when companies have successes and failures, they can learn from these successes though, and if it was the OG Bungie, the same team that made Halo and Destiny 1 and even Destiny 2, I would be very confident in them making Marathon. But unfortunately, the company that is Bungie now is just not the same company. They are not that company anymore. They're not the titans that, not, I don't mean titans like literally like titans, but like the titans of the industry that's made these iconic franchises. They're just a husk of a husk, it feels. And it's unfortunate because Marathon could be so successful with that OG team, that dream team. You know what I'm saying? I liked a lot of those guys, even if they did obviously make some mistakes. I think they had a lot of good visions. I think that Luke Smith, Mark Noseworthy, Christopher Barrett, we're not going to talk about all that, but, and Joe Blackburn, these are all four names that without these four guys involved in Bungie, I'm like, what even is Bungie? You know, these guys were huge in the developmental direction, you know? Without them, I'm like, what are we even talking about, you know? It's just Sony now. Without those four guys, it's almost, to me, in my opinion, it's like Bungie, the name is defunct and it's just Sony, you know? It's PlayStation Studios now. And they got bought by PlayStation Studios. Destiny, Bungie made Halo, Bungie made Destiny. They did an incredible job. That was the end of their era. Now it's PlayStation Studios. They've been absolved, in my opinion. I'm very skeptical about the future of Marathon, but when it does come out, when we see gameplay of it, we will try to critique it with as unbiased opinions as we possibly can. And frankly, I hope that it is successful. I don't wish failure on any game. I want there to be more good games to play. I just don't know that Marathon is going to be added to that list, you know? We'll see.